will help direct people to the session on credit unions, which is one of the breakout sessions.
That's room 3304, and Kelly Hayson is in the other Geary auditorium, waiting for anybody who wants to come over there. She was setting up for the next conference over there. She's ready to take people over.
Right. So we have about 7 minutes before the next session. Thank you.
Is this on? Let's get started. My name is Michelle Kondo. I am a postdoctoral research fellow at the University of Pennsylvania, and I'll be presenting in the next worker co-op session. But so this is the second of 3 worker cooperative sessions. Welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm just going to let us jump into our presentations from our panelists. First is Allison Turner, and she's a professor at Westchester University, which is nearby here in Westchester, Pennsylvania. In the Master of Public Administration program she teaches. And second, we have Brady Williams, who is pursuing a master's degree in agroecology at Wisconsin, Madison. So thank you, and go ahead and come up.
Hello. Let's see, so I guess this, yes. So as Michelle mentioned, the case study that I prepared is on the Energy Co-op, another name also acronym ECAP, the Energy Cooperative Association of Pennsylvania. So here on the slide is their official 3-part mission to provide energy cost savings, education, and advocacy, to promote the efficient use of energy and the use of renewable energy, and then to support cooperative concepts as well. As far as the history of ECAP goes and its program and product offerings currently, it was established in 1979 by members of the Weaver's Way Food Co-op. If anybody else was in the previous panel, it's one of the case studies that we talked about today. It is located in Center City, Philadelphia, so very close down on 15th Street. It does serve a membership or member ownership in a 5-county region of southeast Pennsylvania. It has 3 programs: heating oil distribution, electricity, and biodiesel distribution. I should say heating oil group buying program. So I'll talk about each of the 3 programs briefly. So the heating oil program was the original program in 1979 that the Weaver's Way members founded the organization with. It has since spread to the 5-county full service area of the co-op. It partners with 10 suppliers, mostly local owned, 5 of whom provide bioheat. The rate that they use is essentially a floating daily rate. So it's set and negotiated by ECAP and the staff members there. Essentially, it's a daily wholesale market price that is agreed on with the distributors and then marked up for each different supplier based on fixed margins. Essentially, right now to date, members are saving up to 20 cents a gallon. The energy program has been established since the late 1990s, essentially in 1996 with the Electricity Generation Customer Choice and Competition Act in Pennsylvania. Folks in Pennsylvania were allowed to choose their electricity distributor. And then in, is it 1998, Yossi? ECAP became a licensed electric generation supplier. They have their own product platform, EcoChoice, and they offer 2 different options: EcoChoice 100, which is 99% wind, 1% solar, and then EcoChoice 20% wind. And ECAP has been very instrumental and supportive with the Choose PA Wind initiative, and there's a specific wind farm, Highland Wind Farms in southwest Pennsylvania, where a lot of this energy comes from. Their third program is the biodiesel distribution program, which was established in 2006. So currently, ECAP's a full-service licensed distributor in Pennsylvania. They started out supplying biodiesel to a fleet of school buses in the Great Valley School District. Now there are 12 school districts in the program, as well as the city of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Zoo, Philadelphia Eagles. So that's a pretty rapidly expanding program. The idea is to locally sourced biodiesel. ECAP staff members provide help with grant application and administrative support. And then they also have some quality control to provide quality ASTM grade. Actually, categorizing the energy co-op is one of the very interesting and challenging aspects for this cooperative. Typically, co-ops are categorized by their type as well as the sector. So the type is determined by the ownership structure and function of the organization, which is generally a consumption or production. ECAP incorporates elements of both. Sector is usually determined that the industry that the organization operates in. ECAP operates in the utility sector. Generally, though, within that sector, organizations are either a distribution or generation and transmission. And then there are a couple different kinds of federated cooperatives. ECAP, like type, kind of operates in both of those with regard to distribution and generation. So it's not, this is kind of my terminology here, but essentially what we have is a hybrid consumer, producer, federated energy distribution, GMT cooperative. So really they're kind of on the cutting edge. There are a lot of different co-ops that have a little bit of consumption or production or a little bit of distribution in GMT, but not a whole lot that combine elements of both on those different categorization types. So this is not also an official organization chart. Again, the organization chart for a co-op is challenging in a way. But essentially, we have the three components: members, board of directors, staff. So right now, just over 7,000 members, a 10-member board of directors with a potential for one more member, no less than 5. And right now, there are 7 staff members, full-time staff members, although as they expand and diversify, there are plans to pull in a couple more full-time staff members. So I'll talk a little bit more about each of those 3 groups. So the board of directors is elected by and largely from the ECAP membership. It's not required to be a cooperative member to be on the board, and they certainly do recruit board members with different areas of expertise that would be beneficial to the co-op. It is the administrative and managing agent of the cooperative. According to the bylaws, it has to have no less than 5, no more than 11. At least 50% need to be active members. There are 6 at-large, non-member directors, and then each of the directors serves a 2-year staggered term with a 4-term limit. They can take a break and then come back and start another 4-term limit. However, there is that limitation there. Right now, there, as I mentioned, 10 board of directors currently serving, and they have a range of expertise anywhere from the retail energy market, nonprofit executives, nonprofit branding experts. There's one open position, and they are looking for someone with some cooperative management expertise to kind of fill out those needs there. As far as the full-time staff goes, one innovative aspect of the co two co-directors. Essentially, there's a co-director of programs and a co-director of operations. Both of these positions are evolving. The organization recently finished a strategic planning process in 2012, and so there's been some increased professionalization and definition of the roles of the co-directors. But really what we have is the co-director of programs, the co-director of organizations, and then 5 other full-time positions right now. So the program managers for the programs, there's a marketing coordinator and an outreach coordinator and a manager of membership and administration. And then each of the little boxes talks about more specifically what each of those positions do. And although each position currently has a job description and some defined responsibilities, it's very much a team effort, a collaborative effort, and so all of the staff members really contribute to the overall operations and administration of the organization. As far as the members go, there are, like I said, just over 7,000 members. 3 different classes. There are kind of two ways to categorize the members. So the member classes A, B, and C. Essentially, A is any other cooperative organization, credit union, unincorporated association, community or nonprofit organization. Class B are residential households and residential energy consumers. Class C are the businesses and for-profit enterprises that are member owners of this organization. Then within all of those classes, you have active, inactive, and supporting members. Pretty self-explanatory. The supporting members are essentially members that are unable to use a certain service or product that the organization offers or that the co-op offers, but for whatever reason at that time it's not available, but they still want to be members of the co-op. So like I said, 7,600 members as of February 2012. And this is a significant increase from past years. So as we'll talk about in a little bit, they are currently expanding and diversifying their programs and plan to continue to do that into the future. So the next several slides are just some kind of demographic information about the membership. In 2009, the membership by class is overwhelmingly Class B. So these are the residential and individual energy consumers. And then with about 1.5% each of Class A and Class C. There was part of the 2012 strategic planning process was a member survey. So the next several slides are results of that survey. It was administered via SurveyMonkey. There was about a 20% response rate. So out of the approximately 7,000 members, we're talking about 1,400 responses to most of those questions. Some of the ones that we'll talk about, people chose to skip that question, but essentially we're talking about 1,400 responses here. So most of the members are active, some inactive, but the 2 smallest, the supporting, and then there's an additional kind of category here, grace period, which is as far as why members want to join the energy co-op, the 2 general reasons, the 2 most common reasons are economic and environmental. And then within those economic, you have to save money as well as to receive a fair price for energy. As far as environmental, people are interested in renewable energy sources, and then especially they're interested in local renewable energy sources and contributing and strengthening the economy of Southeast Pennsylvania. As far as the age distribution within the membership, we're really talking about a pretty mature membership here, at least of those 20% that responded to the survey. So really, we're looking at 55 to 64 and 45 to 54 were the most common responses there. We're also talking about two largest or most common responses of educational attainment were college and graduate school level. As far as household income ranges go, this question is a little bit tricky. Of the 1,400 that responded to this survey, about 104 decided not to answer that, and then of that number that did answer, the majority of those people said they would prefer not to answer. However, you can see here in the middle that a large portion of the membership is pretty well placed financially. And then other survey questions revealed that a large number of the membership who responded also own their own homes. And so even though some of the respondents decided not to answer, some people skipped this, there's every indication that a good number of the membership are fairly affluent. As far as membership engagement goes, while the participation and attendance at some of the annual membership meetings is fairly low, you can see here that the majority of those that responded to the survey said that they were extremely satisfied with their current level of engagement. As far as engagement opportunities go, you can participate in the annual membership meeting. You can also serve on the board of directors. Some people suggested that if there were online forums to participate in, they would participate in that. If there were opportunities to speak to community members or other civic events about the energy co-op, that they would be interested in those types of engagement opportunities. But as I mentioned, the overwhelmingly large majority of respondents to the survey indicated that they were very satisfied with their current level of engagement. So as far as the kind of analysis of the case study, I really focused on the strategic management, especially in light of the recently completed strategic planning process. So if you're familiar with strategic management, it really encompasses strategic planning as well as the evaluation and then the implementation of those strategies that have been formulated. So as far as strategic planning initiative goes, there were really several key influences within that. One is the kind of general lack of best practices in this area. Best practices for strategic planning in for-profit and non-profit organizations is widely available. There's a lot of consensus with regard to the literature and the scholarship in that area. However, with regard to strategy formulation, identification, implementation, in the cooperative world, there's not that much to go on. And then for an organization like the Energy Co-op, that is such a unique organizational structure, there are even fewer best practices. So again, the unique organizational structure is something that was very important with regard to the strategic management and planning process with the Energy Co-op. The mixed membership is also very critical to the operation of the co-op. Most electricity and electric cooperatives in the United States are rural. They've established themselves in rural parts of the country because there's a lack of service there because the density is not high enough for most private urban electric organizations to be considered profitable. However, the Energy Co-op is located here in Center City, Philadelphia. The five-county area that it serves is primarily urban, suburban, some peri-urban, with a little bit of rural membership, but you really have a primarily urban-suburban mix there. Maintaining cooperative values as the organization progresses, and then also the organization-specific values is something that was integral to strategic management and the future of the organization. And then also the innovative, young, and very expert leadership within the organization. Both of the co-directors are under 35, as are the rest And so they bring a lot of energy and innovation to the organizational leadership. One reflection of, I think, probably the young executive leadership in the organization is their terminology for the vision for the organization, which they call the big, hairy, audacious goal, which by 2020, the energy co-op should have 20% market share, sources 100% of its renewable energy from within the region, and then reduce overall greenhouse gas emissions by more than 20% compared to conventional usage. So as you can see, going from a organization, a co-op in 1979 that set out to have some root buying power for the heating oil, the mission as well as the goals of this co-op have expanded exponentially. So the main strategic issues identified by the strategic planning process and moving forward for the energy co-op are going to be the expansion and then the subsequent diversification of the products that they offer. So essentially, both of these issues significantly impact the ownership structure, the equity delivery of the organization. So that's something that they have to think about moving forward. Essentially, the patronage rebates are distributed in proportion to use. And so as they expand, they have to ask how to distribute patronage rebates to new members. Essentially, what happens is that new users can receive benefits that are disproportional to their share of their equity. So they may come in and be new members and get what some would say is more of an equity investment than they deserve, since they haven't necessarily put in their time. So that's something that needs to be addressed on how to equitably, fairly distribute those patronage rebates, especially with the 3 different programs. Are you a membership? Do you get rebates from the entire organization if you're only using one of the programs, or 2, possibly 3, people on their mix of product use? Diversification is another big strategic issue for the organization. One weakness identified by the strategic planning process is the relatively weak position of the co-op in the energy market. There are a lot of mainstream organizations coming into the market. There is some volatility, as I'm sure everybody has noticed, in the electricity market. And then also natural preference for natural gas as opposed to heating oil is causing some challenges with the future of the heating oil. So maintaining a competitive edge is absolutely critical. And then thus far, the co-op has done really well with regard to innovation and quality products and services. But they've identified the need to elevate research and development within the organization. And the challenge there is going to be that the rate and the magnitude of the development for the different programs may be uneven. So again, you go back to the equity structure, patronage rebates. If one program is developing faster than another, then you may have some issues there with unequitable or challenges with making those patronage rebates equitable. So as far as the future of the organization goes, the energy co-op is in an amazingly strong position. So moving forward, they really need to be aware of these challenges and figure out how to kind of make these transitions. So the importance of mission and values is well established with regard to the strategy formulation and implementation within organizations. So the challenge here is staying true to cooperative organization-specific values, yet still being able to expand and diversify and stay competitive within their market. So the identification of strategic issues and best practices that is consistent with those cooperative principles is really what they're working on now. profit distribution system and equity structure are going to be at the center of that. And then the realization of the big, hairy, audacious goal really requires them balancing their progressive business structure, their organization values, and universal cooperative principles. So that's all I have about the energy co-op. We're really lucky to have several of the staff members here today. Josie over there is one of the co-directors. So hopefully when we get into the discussion period, very interactive and fun. Thanks.
Do you have a presentation on here?
It should be on there somewhere. I think it's if you close out. Let's see. Try that folder. There we go. Riverland Energy. Cool. That looks like my name. I think I'm finally fully armed. So I'm going to be talking today about Riverland Energy Cooperative, and in contrast to the energy cooperative that Allison just talked about, it's much more of a traditional rural electric cooperative. Is anyone here a member or work at a rural electric cooperative? Someone will help me out, because I'm by no means an expert in electric cooperatives or even cooperatives in general, but I think I've learned a few interesting things from looking at this case study here. So what makes Riverland a cooperative? I mean, sure, it's got one member, one vote, but in the previous session that I was at, they were cultivating this very highly technical term of co-opness. And they were talking about how does a co-op communicate its co-opness to its membership. So kind of how I framed my research here was, how does Riverland, a co-op that offers something pretty non-specialized, electricity. We like to think of co-ops as free and open membership. Well, if you live in their district and you have a line going to your house, you're a member, and you're getting electricity. It's not all that exciting. So in that respect, it's kind of different from the energy cooperative, which seems like more of kind of like a grassroots effort to get a specifically different product that they couldn't get. It's like having a food co-op, so you can get that $6 heirloom tomato, instead of the regular grocery store variety. So I'm just going to give a little overview of the cooperative and its structure, and then I'm going to talk about a few reasons that I think it does matter that Riverland actually is a cooperative and not structured as a private for-profit business. So Riverland distributes power, doesn't generate any power, just takes from the substation to your house or to your business. It has about 14,600 members, and I think it has about 17,000 different accounts. So some members have multiple accounts. It's relatively new. It's been around since 1999, but it actually is a result of a merger between two county electric cooperatives that had been around since the 1930s. So one of the challenges, and anyone else has done some research on this, as a cooperative grows and gets older, how does it communicate its living down the rural areas? In addition to supplying power to homes and businesses, they also provide monitoring services for Golden Plump chicken growers, so they monitor the heat within the barns, water temperature, electricity within the barns. And they also have a wholly owned subsidiary, Riverland Communications, which provides personal emergency response services, kind of like a little button, you fall down and pick it up. DirecTV wireless internet. They've got a whole series of towers running down the Mississippi River, and some places are actually so remote that they actually use satellite to get the wireless internet. So a little bit of history of how it came about. Right, I say in the 1920s and 30s, private utilities brought power to populated areas. That's kind of true. That's kind of when it started en masse. But really, you can go back to the 1880s. Some metropolitan areas were getting power. And as Allison alluded to earlier, these poor rural folks were actually literally and figuratively getting left in the dark. Because if you're a private utility, why are you going to string 5 miles of line down to Farmer Joe's farm? When you're not going to get much of a return on that investment. So in order to correct, or at least address this market failure, as part of FDR's New Deal, he created, by executive order, the Rural Electrification Administration. And essentially what that did is allowed money to be loaned at very low rates to groups of farmers, primarily, who were seeking to get electricity into their areas, be able to produce more, and allow these rural economies to expand. So most of these co-ops that were founded at that time, they were mostly organized by county. So you had Buffalo County Co-op and Trempealeau County Co-op. And they existed from the mid-30s, as I mentioned earlier, all the way up until 1999 when they merged to kind of increase efficiency and give better service to the membership. Just a little side note, obviously the investor-owned utilities really hated this back in the 1930s. They didn't like the competition. They thought the government was unfairly allowing cooperatives to outcompete. And also, some people just ideologically thought it was one step down, sort of a slippery slope to national socialism. Very insidious things. Yep. So just a little overview of the structure of Riverland Energy. As I said, one member, one vote. You get power from them. You have a vote. Your household has a vote. Your business has a vote. You designate someone to go to the annual meeting for you. It's governed by a 9-person board, and all board members have to be members, which is a little different, right, from the Energy Co-op board. And each board member comes from one of Riverland's 9 districts. So geographical representation, in short. How that board comes to be is that each district elects 15 members to serve on the district committee, and these district committees then nominate individual board members. So in all, we've got 135 people serving on these district committees. And the committees receive kind of like a special briefing about where the co-op has been recently, the vision for the future, the cooperative process, and then they eventually make their decision on who they're going to nominate for the board. Now, they do something kind of neat. I thought they could just very easily abuse. But they used to serve, they do serve 4-year terms, each board member. It used to be 3 years, and there was an election every year. Now they serve 4-year terms, and there is a 4-term limit. And this allows there to be an off year every 4 years, where there's no elections. And that saved them a lot of money. And for a cooperative, that is then saving the members a lot of money through this kind of increased efficiency. Because, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, they really care that their board members know about the cooperative process. It's really important to them. So they do spend a lot of time and a lot of money training new members. So if they can avoid that one out of every 4 years, that really helps them out financially. The general manager estimated there's about a 30% turnout for elections, so not huge. And voting really is one of your only ways to participate. As I said, it's a very unspecialized service. It's not very grassroots in nature. So kind of serving on the board and voting are pretty much the extent of real active member participation. So what really distinguishes Riverland's co-opness. And so I think it's emphasis on service and member programs, not just service, very high quality service, and high reliance on other cooperatives. And sort of evidence that Riverland might be a little bit different from an investor-owned utility. Their American Customer Service Index rating ranked 8 points higher than the area's private utility. So I'm going to go into a few areas kind of explaining why that might be the case and try to parse out why its co-opness is important. One thing they emphasize is good communication. In the customer service rating, they receive really good friendliness scores, which makes sense. You can relate to people that are from your own area. Also, if there's an outage that affects more than 25 members, and it's sort of unexplained, let's say we're having a day like today, it's kind of nice, 70 degrees, just a gentle breeze, and all of a sudden the power goes out. Well, if that happens, they write these postcards to their members, telling them what was going on, why the outage took place, and it's just a very good open line of communication with it. Obviously, it's Wisconsin, it's blizzard, and it's February. They're not going to write 1,000 postcards to all their members saying, let the power went out. One of the challenges, though, in communication that they face is a lot of people move from the city, whether it's a more urban area of Wisconsin or another part of the country, and they're not really used to the power going out all the time. And if you guys have been to Wisconsin, especially in some of the rural areas, we get a lot of trees, a lot of summer storms, and Riverland maintains about 3,000 miles of line. So it's going to happen. Your power is going to go out. And a lot of people they're not quite used to that, especially if they grew up in an urban environment. So that's kind of one of their communication challenges, but it seems like they address that pretty well. Another thing is Riverland's dedication to investing in technology instead of just trying to scrape by on bargain basement rates. They have a lot of state-of-the-art software, mapping technology, GPS track technology that helps them respond to outages more quickly. All their metering is automated, so kind of made this investment to hopefully save money in the long run and become more efficient. And also, kind of the crux of what makes, in my opinion, what makes Riverland a little bit more co-op-y than that sort of proverbial credit union that Gar was talking about earlier today. That's a lost touch with its co-op roots, is that they've got some member programs that are very beneficial to their members. They'll help subsidize the cost of an energy audit. And then if you implement some new strategies, some weatherproofing on your house, then you get an additional, I think, $250 coupon to take care of some of those costs. They've also got a community-oriented program where you can round up your electric bill for the next dollar every month, and a little bit of that goes into a fund that then goes back to the community, whether that's new firefighting equipment, supporting local youth programs. So they have maintained some of that community connection. And one of the most interesting things is this new pilot program that they're involved with called CHIRP, the Cooperative Home Energy Retrofit Project. And they're working with the Center on Wisconsin Strategy and 2 other co-ops to make this happen. And essentially what it is meant to do is reduce the capital barriers to energy retrofits in rural areas. There's been a lot of focus on energy efficiency, but in a lot of rural areas, it's just too capital intensive for people to really start those projects. And so what it does is it focuses on people that their income isn't so low that they receive government assistance programs, but it's still in a lower range. And what it does is it helps them retrofit their house in a way that won't put an inordinate financial burden on them. So they do a pre-retrofit audit, post-retrofit audit, and ideally these energy improvements will have a positive net return on investment within 10 years. And it's an on-bill financing program through the cooperative, so that your energy savings at the very least offset another neat thing about this program is they're dedicated to employing people in the community to perform these retrofits. That's kind of what we were talking about a little bit earlier today, with kind of integrating the co-op with community building. What allows all these programs to take place? In my opinion, a lot of it rests with the notion that Riverland is nested within this community of cooperatives that allows their functioning to occur a lot easier on a day-to-day basis. Dairyland Electrical Industries is a cooperative that they own, that produces the power. Cooperative Finance Corporation is the exclusive lender for the Riverland, and it's really important that they have a dedicated lender because 60% of the construction costs are financed by debt, and that's so current members don't have to subsidize infrastructure that's going to last for 30 or 40 years, so it makes a lot of sense to fill out that financing. They have a ROPE program by which Riverland shares help with neighboring electric cooperatives, and they even sent a crew down to Louisiana during Katrina and partnered with the cooperative down there. And again, as I mentioned earlier, CHIRP involves partnership with these two other cooperatives. So, yeah, I think it does make a difference that Riverland is structured as a cooperative. I think they have done a pretty good job maintaining the cooperative values and spirit in an industry where it's very easy to lose sight of them, especially where the service that you're providing is not terribly specialized. And in order to do that, they need to rely on a lot of cooperatives. So that's kind of what I have to say about Riverland, and I think we'll probably open it up to some questions, or Michelle, yeah.
Any questions?
Have any of these looked into gas and energy strategies?
Well, I know the energy co-op, that's a challenge that they're dealing with. Can you hear me better now? There we go. Okay. So I know the energy co-op, one challenge is that there is a preference for natural gas. So their heating oil program is threatened in that way. Yossi, can you speak? Are y'all looking into more?
Yeah, with respect to natural gas, yes, that is something that's on our radar screen. Not all places, Philadelphia, for instance, the utility still maintains both, not only the distribution, but also the transmission and that too. Obviously, it's not a cooperative like
Yeah, and I don't believe that Riverland is. It's pretty conventional, you know, how they get their power.
What's the first natural gas?
Not to my knowledge.
Anyone else?
So the biodiesel, is the biodiesel, how is it produced? And where?
Glad you asked that. There's I believe 13 biodiesel producers in Pennsylvania. Only 2 of them are operating on any sort of scale at this point. So we get our biodiesel from a producer in Pennsylvania. Sort of hasn't been enough for us as time has gone on. So what we've done is sort of tried to close the loop with this local group actually based in Chesapeake County. Collects restaurant waste grease from Philadelphia.
so it's a large, it's a growing part of your the co-op's business.
Yeah, that's right. And it was only 2006 that we helped the first school district convert to using biodiesel. And as Allison mentioned, dozens since then. We've helped in just a greater area. Seen the marketplace change a lot. There's a lot more competition now.
Yossi, I know that, and for everyone else, if you look at the website, there's definitely the Energy Co-op states that there is a preference for locally sourced and produced biodiesel. What, if you break it down, what are the actual, how much of it's local? If you could, I think that would be interesting to talk about.
Sure. So last year, for instance, in 2011, probably somewhere around like 97% of our biodiesel ended up coming from that relationship that you spoke about. There were two service interruptions where, when you're supply chain, that's sort of a small biodiesel issue, it's still really growing, and that's the case in Pennsylvania. If there's any sort of interruption anywhere across that process, in this case, the producer had an accident plan, they weren't able to produce for 2 weeks. We needed biodiesel, we had to sort of get that fuel to our members. At that point, we had to go outside of sort of our local system, but as much as possible, that's
We had a question in the back and then up here.
Yes, you mentioned something about the community resources, about not enough for money going back to community. How many of their members actually participate in that?
It's an excellent question, and I might be able to find it out in the next 30 seconds here.
We can move to the, unless you have anything else.
No, I guess what I was wondering how, considering that,
Yeah.
it's very, I guess, very rare that, in this type of situation where somebody's becoming more co-op, the equity side or anything like this, it's how to get back over more.
Sure.
Get back to help somebody else pay for their electricity, pay for school.
Yep.
Yeah, my question and comment is kind of related to electric co-ops being charitable, and taking maybe a broad step back, as I see consumer cooperatives, particularly the electric cooperatives, as providing essential services. Like a food co-op provides essential services of food, credit unions, financial services. And I guess for you, Ray, do they embrace that sort of ideal that we're providing essential services, and then is that maybe related to some of the more charitable aspects of it? Because they're not several other rural electric co-ops have similar programs where they're supporting wonderful local efforts in their community,
Yeah.
not just providing electricity.
No, I think they really do embrace that attitude. I think part of it could be that it's based in Wisconsin. Wisconsin kind of has this long history of cooperatives, and that those cooperatives kind of give back to the community. And yes, I think it's a spirit that they definitely engender at Riverland. I'm not sure how kind of widely applicable that might be to other rural electric cooperatives. But, and like what Gar was saying, this is kind of ground zero for a lot of cooperatives. It's kind of the Wisconsin, upper Midwest farmers coming from the Scandinavian, German background. So yeah, I'm not sure how much one could translate that to somewhere else. But
I would say doing that makes them have that co-opness, because that's one of the principles, is concern for community.
oh yeah,
And they exist as concern for the community based on providing electricity, but beyond it, seems like when they embrace that, I would doubt that might be the case. Terrible programs.
yeah. And if you don't do things like that, then you become the credit union in Burlington.
Well, I think in the last panel that I was listening to, and then it seems here now, a question, and there's this ongoing tension with the expansion and maintaining a competitive edge within the cooperative organizations, but staying true to those cooperative principles. And that's a continuous challenge moving forward for a lot of the organizations. The energy co-op, I think that they're focused on regional and local business and participating in southeastern Pennsylvania economy and improving the environment in the area is something that helps them contribute to the greater good of the organization. They also have services if you can't afford their programs. There are still ways to become memberships and some subsidies and help that they can provide if you want to be a member, but you can't necessarily afford it. And I have to say, I think $25, is that? 15 is the annual membership dues. So it's very affordable.
Do you want to ask one last question? It's lunchtime, so I don't want to keep you. But
Yeah, I mean, I really don't expect an answer. I'll just preface it by referencing a recent report in Nature magazine, which is one of the scientific journals in the world, scientific assessment of ecosystems and species under climate change, essentially predicting the collapse of human civilization before the year 2100, based on the geologic record of what happens when ecosystems are disturbed, and whether either of the co-ops have a long-term strategic plan to transition to complete carbon neutrality or a specific addressing of climate mitigation in your goals and operations.
Well, the big, hairy, audacious goal certainly speaks to that. I don't remember off the, but reducing the carbon footprint and improving the environmental conditions in southeastern Pennsylvania. But I think also setting example for similar organizations all over the country and hopefully over the world. I think people could learn from what the Energy Co-op is doing.
And I can almost certainly say that Riverland probably does not really take that view. And they're much more concerned about efficient distribution of electricity to their customers. And although they might provide some options that allow people to get the power more sustainably, it's definitely not their focus. Just not where their minds are at least with talking with their general manager.
thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you to our panelists. Okay, good afternoon, everyone.